Today we have a really fun transformation. I have a client that's coming in, she's got short hair and she's about a level 6 naturally, and she hasn't colored her hair in a while, and so we're gonna take her platinum with a lavender overlay. So let's get started. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm so excited to have you guys here today. Today we have a really fun transformation. Now I used to have lavender hair, so I love turning people lavender, kind of that smoky lavender. So I want to show you guys exactly how you first transition somebody from a virgin state of hair to a platinum, and then how to formulate for kind of a smokier pastel versus those bright pastels. So if this is something that you are interested in, make sure to keep watching, and I'm going to share with you guys all my tips and tricks on how to do that. So let's get started. All right, so this is our starting canvas. You guys can see she has a little bit of red in there, but she's been growing it out really diligently, so it's just the last little tips. If we need to trim it off, we will, but we're definitely going to start applying the lightener to the ends first, and then we'll go back in and apply it to the roots. But this is kind of our starting canvas. You guys can see she's a level 6, but for the most part it's all virgin hair, so I think it should lift pretty easily, and let's go mix up. Alright, so on her, I'm going to mix up the Kenra Blue Lightener with 40 volume for her ends, and I'm going to put a little Olaplex in it. The reason why I like using this lightener is because it's a little bit stronger, and I definitely want to just kind of break through a lot of those ends, but we are going to make sure to use Olaplex to ensure the health of her hair while we're lightening it. So this is just going to be for her ends formula, and then we're going to reformulate for her roots once her ends start to process a bit. Alright, so we are just going to start with her because she's got a lot of these little short hairs in there. I'm going to really try my hardest to keep it off the scalp, about a ½ an inch. And I'm just going to start applying it to her hair. I have foils and I have cotton to kind of separate things just so that it kind of doesn't bleed into here, but we will have to kind of tackle some of this in a little bit. So I'm just going to apply it to the longest parts first, work our way forward, and then we'll kind of go back in and start applying it through here and then more to the scalp areas. Alright, so I'm taking pretty fine sections, but you guys can see it's still a little bit thicker. And so what I'm doing is I'm making sure to apply the lightener. I am doing it ½ an inch away from the roots, and the reason why she would get hot roots is we applied it all the way through onto her scalp. So first we're going to apply the ends and get them all set up and ready to go, and then again, once those kind of lift to like a level 8, then we'll go back through and apply it to her roots because her roots are just going to lift really fast. But I'm making sure to fully saturate all the way through the hair to make sure that there's no hollow spots or anything like that. So I'm flipping the section and then kind of feathering it down to that root area. And then same thing on this side, just making sure that it's really saturated. Kind of using my hand as my planchette or like palette, and just making sure to really saturate everything. Alright, so now I've kind of gotten to the side of her head, and I'm still trying to be really clean with all my sectioning, but again, we are going to go back through and bleach the roots, so it's not a huge deal, but I'm just kind of applying it to kind of some of these areas are a little bit longer before we go through and apply it to the scalp. And you guys can see it's already lifting pretty good in there. Like we already got some like level 7 going on, so I'm excited about that. I'm just going through and like literally kind of just picking up these pieces and just kind of applying it through there. I love using this brush from Framar. It's one of my favorite brushes that they have ever made, but it has a little, I don't know what this metal part, but I love using it because it helps me section, and I actually love using it when I'm highlighting too because it helps me kind of pick out pieces and stuff. And I am going through and kind of wiping it off every time before I kind of take a new section because I don't want to get lightener done at the root area. But I just really like this brush. It helps me stay really clean with all my sectioning, and it gives me a lot more control than just the regular end of a brush. So I'm just going to keep applying to this little area. You guys can see I'm just kind of picking up pieces. She is disconnected on this side, so there's some longer pieces still in here. And then kind of once we let the top process a little bit longer, we'll go back through and apply the roots. So I decided to put a cap on her just to incubate it and kind of get these pieces kind of lifting up. We're not going to put it under heat just yet because you guys can already see it's already lifting pretty darn good in there. So I'm just going to let this process for a little bit, and then we'll go through and apply her roots. All right, so for her roots, I am going to mix up 25 volume again with the blue base lightener and some Olaplex in there. And so we'll do 20 and 30 volume equal parts and mix it up for her root area. All right, so I just pulled the cap off of her. You guys can see that we're already lifting pretty good in there. We're getting to like a level 8. So now we're gonna go back in and apply her roots. I'm gonna start in her bottom section first in this back area. The reason why it's probably the most dark, and if we need to rinse it first, we can, versus starting in the front. So I'm just gonna start applying it kind of back up in here and work our way from the back all the way to the front. So because she has really thick hair, I'm making sure to pull up these pieces and fully saturate those ends. You guys can see that her hair is pretty darn thick, and if you were doing this on a male client or somebody else who has really thick hair, you want to make sure that you're taking fine sections, kind of pulling up, applying to that root, and then re-saturating that whole area. So one thing that I'm making sure to really do is fully saturate all of this hair, especially kind of like I said at her root area, like I showed you guys before. You gotta make sure it's super saturated, because if not, the bleach could dry out and then you end up with hollow spots or just warmer areas. So I'm making sure to fully saturate everything and get it in there really, really good. I'm a little bit tedious with my sectioning just because I wanna make sure that it's really saturated. And you guys can see I'm like taking a lot of product on there and just kind of globbing it in there, making sure that it's real, real good. And then I'll go back through after I've done all this and just check to make sure there are no hollow spots or anything that I missed. So one thing that I like to do is I like to keep a towel and I actually get this wet on the corner, and I'll always go back up and kind of clean up my client's face. I do this with every color application, but especially with bleach, because, well, this ear can get a little tingly. So just kind of cleaning that up for your client, soothing it with the cool water really helps just make the client experience that much better. All right, so right around in the front, I actually switched to 30 volume on her roots because everything else has been sitting on for a little bit, so I want it to kind of process all the same. And you guys can still see I am still taking finer sections just to make sure that everything's saturated and trying to be as clean as possible. Obviously doing kind of all over global bleaches can be a little messy, but just trying to stay as systematized and as clean as possible while we're doing this. All right, so now I'm going back through and just making sure to really saturate everything. Can you guys see these like little pieces right here? Like those are areas that just didn't get fully saturated. You obviously wanna make sure that those are saturated. So I done kind of my sections this way. Now I'm going through and kind of cross-checking them and just making sure that everything's really saturated and that there's plenty of lightener where I need it. One thing that I do make sure to do is, obviously I was using this brush with the metal comb on the end. I wouldn't go back through to double check and cross check with this, just because I want to make sure that we're not gonna like hurt her scalp or scratch it in any way. So I actually went through with just a more blunt brush to just make sure to saturate it, just because we want to be gentle on her scalp. And another thing that I was just explaining to my assistant is this area, because it's a blue-based lightener, it looks like it's almost done, but it's actually not. There's still quite a bit of yellow in here. It's like a level 8. We want to get it to like a level 9 or lighter. So this is perfect because it's probably going to lift up just to about the point when her roots are done. So it's good timing-wise, and I think it's going to be perfect. So I'm just going to continue to apply to her roots and make sure to cross-check everything, and then we'll probably put a little cap under it for a few minutes, and then she'll be ready to rinse. All right, so now I'm gonna mix up her lavender color, and I'm always gonna start with a base of conditioner. Now this is just any white conditioner. It's not really any like brand name or anything. It's just a white conditioner. It doesn't really matter. This is what I use instead of mixing clear, so I really like it. And I'm gonna start with this conditioner base, so I'll pump a lot into my bowl first, and then I'm gonna go in and add in our colors. But the biggest thing is, because we're going for a really soft pastel, we want to make sure that we're not mixing too dark. So we'll get a good amount of conditioner in there. And the two colors that I've chosen to use are the Joico Intensities Amethyst Purple and the Cobalt Blue. And then my secret sauce, a little bit of Pravana Black. And the reason why I'm using this is, if we were to just mix these two together with the conditioner, it would come up more of like a bright purple, more of like I almost call it like cotton candy, like vibrant. This is actually gonna smoke it out a little bit and take away that like vibrancy. To me, it's a little bit more of a classy color, and it's what makes my pastels really stand out from a lot of other people. So I'm gonna mix it up here. Biggest key that you wanna make sure is when you're mixing you just do a tiny, tiny little bit to begin with, especially purple. It's really vibrant. So we're just gonna mix a tiny bit in there, tiny bit of blue. You guys can see, a little tiny bit. Then I'm gonna mix it up and you guys will watch how it'll completely darken up that formula. And she wants kind of more of a periwinkle purple, that's why I'm adding in the blue. Just a straight purple will kind of turn into like a Barney color purple. So in fact, my formula is actually a little bit more cobalt than it is even the amethyst, just because the amethyst has such pink undertones. You guys can see I did equal parts there and it's already still pretty pink. So I'm gonna add a little bit more blue. So a lot of times I actually add more blue than I even add purple. And it's just because that's how it turns out. So now I'm gonna take my Pravana black and I'm just gonna do a tiny little dot in there. And what this is gonna do is it's gonna smoke out my color. Again, just kind of make it more of a smoky purple lavender versus like such a bright lavender. The cool thing, the reason why I like the Pravana black versus other blacks versus like Pulp Riot or even Joico's black, a lot of those ones have blue undertones. To me, this Pravana black has like more of just a neutral undertone. Okay, so now once I kind of see my color in the bowl, what I'm gonna do is actually take a clear paper towel, and obviously we know her starting color isn't white, but this kind of gives me a good judge point to kind of see like where our color is at. Kind of shows me the undertones of it, and I'm really digging that color. I'll probably add a little bit more purple. I'll probably deepen it up just this tiny, tiny bit, but just by just testing out our formula, I can really see if that's gonna be a color. This is also a great way to show your clients what the color is gonna kind of look like. You always wanna do a disclaimer that it is gonna be more of a little bit warmer or whatever, depending on their starting thing. Another thing you can do too is you can also take a Post-it note if their base is a little bit on the warmer side, and you can also test it on kind of a yellow Post-it note and know kind of what your underlying pigments are going to turn it out as. So this is just kind of a fun way to test out your colors. It's a great way to show your clients, and it kind of gives you an idea of where you're going to be at. Another reason why I like to test out the color too is A, so I know where I'm at, but also if I have to remix more color, I kind of have a good starting base to go off of being like, okay, well this is the color that we had, I can mix to that color in case there was none left in the bowl. So that's just kind of an idea of if you have to come back and remix, it kind of just gives you a good starting off point. All right, so she's been processing for about 20 minutes, and a good way to check the lightener, because this is such a blue-based lightener, it's hard to tell if she's done, but just kind of taking your finger and dragging it along will really reveal kind of where they're at. And a lot of times with bleach retouches and stuff, we rinse off too quick because we think that they're done. So she actually still has about 5 more minutes to go, but you guys can see just kind of pulling it out, I'm able to kind of see those true colors in there and see kind of where her hair's at, even under that like blue lightener. So I kind of pick it up a few spots, kind of just drag my finger, kind of see where she's at. She's almost ready, but there's still a tiny bit of warmth in there. So we'll just kind of reapply, resaturate, let it sit for about 5 more minutes, and then she'll be ready to go. So now we're gonna rinse out her hair. You guys can see that we lifted really nicely, and I'm just gonna rinse it out really good. It's gonna probably take a little bit to rinse her out because she's got a lot of hair. And usually when I'm rinsing out lighteners, I do like a warm, lukewarm kind of temperature because you don't want to go too hot with the client. But you guys can see we got it pretty light. All right, so I have Olaplex number 2, and I'm gonna apply this to her hair. And we're gonna apply this and leave it on for about 10 minutes, and then we're gonna pre-tone her. I do wanna pre-tone her. Sometimes I won't. If we were doing like a pastel pink or something, and we were gonna utilize some of these warm tones, then I might not pre-tone her, but because we are doing lavender, we are gonna pre-tone her just to kind of work away some of these like warm tones that are still in her hair. But you guys can tell we got her pretty light, and it's great because we didn't have to over process her, especially because we're gonna do the lavender on top. We didn't have to go white, 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 so it's kind of a good little in between. But I'm just gonna apply, like I said, the Olaplex, let that sit on, and then we'll go mix up her color and stuff. All right, so for her toner, I'm gonna use the Pulp Riot Violet High Speed Toner and a little bit of silver, just because she does have a little bit of kind of warmer ends, a little bit more orange in there. So this is a blue base, this is obviously a violet base, and I am gonna be using their 6 volume developer. Anytime I'm doing kind of a color like this and it's not like pumped out of my regular cans from Goldwell, I like to use a scale, and I like this one from Framer because it's just super cute. So I already zeroed it out, and I'm just gonna add in 2 ounces of developer. and 1 ounce of color. 8 ounces of violet, and then like 2 little ounces of silver. This ensures that it's really accurate measuring, and I'm not having to worry about stuff being inaccurate or mixing it wrong. And then just use a little whisk to mix it up. Alright, so because this is a rapid toner, I am going to apply to kind of her ends where they're the warmest first, and then I'll go back in and kind of apply it to her root area. So I'm just going to get this on fast. I love that it, consistency-wise, it's really thin, so you can just kind of slap it in there. And again, because we are applying this, you know, we are going to do a lavender over it. This is just kind of pre-toning it, kind of calming down a lot of this warmth that's in there, but it's going to be nice to kind of have a lavender overshade too, so we don't have to like worry about it too much. But you guys can already see it working in there. This has been on for what, not even 30 seconds, and it's already working in there. So it's pretty fast, it's fast moving. It's a really great toner for that reason. Alright, so this has been sitting on for maybe 5 minutes, but you guys can see how rapidly it works. Like, we're already kind of at like a beautiful lavender color. This is really going to give me a great base to go off of as I apply her lavender color. But know that these toners are pretty strong, so if lavender was not your ultimate result, you might not want to use this one. But you guys can see there's no more orange, there's nothing. It's kind of like a beautiful smoky color, and it's seriously been on for maybe 5 minutes. Alright, so this is just after that violet and silver toner from Pulp Right. Look how beautiful this is, you guys. We're like actually really happy with how this turned out. Alright, so we completely dried her whole head. Anytime I'm doing a pastel application or even just a vivid application, I like to apply it to dry hair. And the color line that I recommend, Joico, Pulp Right, a lot of those ones, always recommend applying it to dry hair. So you guys can see we dried it pretty much. Because she has a little bit more depth up in here, the toner didn't get quite as much. I'm gonna kind of do the sides and back first, and then we'll go through and apply the top. So I always just apply it to the roots first and then kind of pull it through the ends after I've done this section. Just make sure that your roots are really saturated versus going through and doing the whole section. So I just like to kind of do it that way personally. So what I like to do for some of my clients that have kind of pastel colors is I actually like to sell them a conditioner, but I'll take a little bit of that conditioner out and I'll actually mix up their formula for them so that they can refresh their color at home. So I'll literally just kind of squirt this into kind of a little container. I get these at like the dollar store. There's like 8 of them for $1, super cheap, but they can keep this in their shower and refresh their color, so it's keeping their hair a little bit low maintenance and it's actually making it look good in between visits. So like I said, I'll just kind of squirt some out and then just mix in some of their color for them, and then they're excited because not only do they get a really good professional conditioner, but they're also getting their color treatment at home. All right, and here is our final look. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's so good. I'm obsessed. I think the color looks so beautiful. You guys can see all the different dimension. It's a little bit deeper at the root because we applied it at the root longer and then we pulled it through the ends, but you guys can just see how much shine and dimension there is. I love it. So shiny and healthy looking, and that's why I love this formula, because it brings out all the different dimensions in the hair. And even my client was saying, she's like, oh my gosh, there's so many different colors of purple on my hair. It just is so pretty. It's kind of like smoky but beautiful, and that's because we use that Pravana black, you guys. This smoky color is all due to that. Guys, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something today. It's so fun taking somebody from kind of a virgin state to a platinum card. I love doing that, and then also to do a little smoky lavender. I had so much fun. I loved how it turned out. If you like this video, make sure to leave a comment below letting me know what you learned and what you liked about it. And make sure to come say hi over on Instagram. It's Jamie Dana Hairstylist. I would love to meet you. I love seeing people who watch my videos, and I absolutely love meeting them. So if you like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button below. I'm going to be sharing all types of videos like this, and make sure to check out my other videos. I got a lot of different hair color techniques, and you're not going to want to miss them. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.